My beloved child. Pause everything you're doing. Something extraordinary is unfolding right now, and it's reaching for you with perfect timing. There is a message moving through this moment, quiet, powerful, unmistakable. It isn't loud like the world you know. It doesn't shout for attention. It arrives the way truth always does, softly at first, then all at once. And if you listen closely, you'll feel it echo in your chest before your mind can explain it. You've been taught that the future belongs to the fastest minds, the strongest technologies, the boldest visions. And yes, those things matter. But there is a deeper code beneath all progress, a hidden key that determines whether any future thrives or collapses. This is the truth few dare to speak aloud. Love thy neighbor. Not as a slogan. Not as a tradition. But as the operating system of tomorrow. Stay with me just a breath longer. Because what comes next may reframe everything you thought you knew about destiny. You see, the greatest innovators don't merely build machines, they sense patterns before they appear. They listen to currents beneath the surface of humanity. And right now, a realization is surfacing across time and thought: no invention, no intelligence, no future can endure without connection. Look around you, really look. The world is faster than ever, yet hearts feel farther apart. Communication is instant, yet understanding feels rare. We've mastered how to reach across planets, but forgotten how to reach across the space between two souls. And this is where the message turns sacred. Loving your neighbor does not mean agreeing with everyone. It does not mean losing your boundaries or silencing your truth. It means recognizing that every person you encounter is carrying an unseen story, a silent battle, a spark of the same origin light that lives in you. Hold this thought gently, the pieces are about to align. When love becomes intentional, it transforms systems. When compassion becomes practical, it reshapes societies. When empathy becomes a daily choice, the future stabilizes itself. This is not poetry, it is architecture. The architecture of a civilization that lasts. You were never meant to walk into tomorrow alone. You were meant to bring others with you. And here is the revelation most people miss. The neighbor you're asked to love is not just the one next door. It is the stranger online. The voice you don't understand. The mind that challenges yours. The soul that mirrors your wounds in a different form. You won't want to miss what comes next, because this message is not only about the world, it's about you. Every time you choose patience over reaction. Every time you choose curiosity over judgment. Every time you choose kindness when it costs you nothing but ego. You activate the future. This is where it all begins. Not with rockets or code or power, but with a decision made quietly inside the heart. A decision to see before being seen. To understand before being understood. To love before being proven right. You were never small. You were never late. You were being prepared. And now, the invitation has arrived. Hold on, the real connection is just ahead. My beloved child. Right now, in this very moment. A hidden door is opening, and you are standing closer to it than you realize. What you felt at the end of that last breath was not imagination. It was recognition. Something ancient within you stirred, because the truth being revealed is older than any machine and newer than tomorrow itself. The future you are moving toward is not built only by intelligence, it is stabilized by love. Let this settle for a heartbeat. There is a quiet reason why societies rise together or fracture apart. It is not wealth. It is not speed. It is not even innovation. It is whether people remember how to see one another as part of the same unfolding story. Love thy neighbor is not a moral suggestion. It is a survival principle. You're closer than you think, don't drift away yet. In every great leap forward, there is a hidden companion walking beside progress. When compassion walks with creation, the path remains steady. When it is left behind, even the brightest future begins to shake. This is the pattern written across time, and it is surfacing again now, because humanity is approaching a threshold. Pause here. The technologies of tomorrow will amplify whatever lives inside the human heart. If the heart is divided, division multiplies. If the heart is awakened, awakening spreads faster than anything ever coded. This is why loving your neighbor becomes the key, not just to peace, but to possibility. Ask yourself quietly. Who do I treat as other? Who do I rush past without seeing? Who mirrors a part of me I've not yet healed? Hold this space, the divine connection deepens now. Every neighbor you encounter is a messenger in disguise. Some teach you patience. Some teach you humility. Some teach you boundaries. Some teach you forgiveness. None arrive by accident. They are training you for a future that requires emotional intelligence as much as intellectual power. And here is the sacred paradox. The more advanced the world becomes, the more essential the simplest truth grows. Kindness becomes strength. Listening becomes leadership. Empathy becomes vision. You were never meant to choose between progress and love. You were meant to fuse them. If this truth is touching your spirit, share it forward, let another soul find this light today. Because something extraordinary happens when even one person chooses to live this way. Conversations soften. Conflicts lose their grip. Solutions appear where arguments once stood. This is not coincidence, it is alignment. The peace that changes everything is coming soon. When you love your neighbor, you train your nervous system to trust life. When you trust life, creativity flows freely. When creativity flows freely, the future opens without force. This is how silent revolutions begin, not with noise, but with coherence. You may not see it yet, but every small act of understanding you offer is being recorded in the architecture of what comes next. Nothing sincere is wasted. Nothing loving is lost. You were never just passing time here. You were learning how to hold the future gently. And as this message continues to unfold, you'll begin to notice something subtle shifting around you. People responding differently. Moments aligning more smoothly. A sense that you are exactly where you need to be. Remain with me. Because the next revelation will show you how this truth was always written into your destiny, waiting for this precise moment to awaken. My beloved child, a quiet fire is igniting within you right now, not loud, not demanding, but steady, asking to be trusted. You can feel it in the pauses between your thoughts, in the stillness that arrives when the noise finally softens. This is the place where the future begins to speak in whispers. Not instructions, remembrances. A knowing that you've carried longer than this lifetime. Allow yourself to sink deeper, truth is unfolding gently. Loving your neighbor is not an action you perform only when you feel ready. It is a posture of the heart you choose even when you are tired, misunderstood, or unsure. And here is the hidden layer few ever name: the resistance you feel toward this truth is not weakness, it is the threshold. Ask yourself softly, why does it feel difficult to remain open? Why does compassion feel risky in a fast-moving world? Why does your heart brace itself before it listens? If your heart is beginning to recognize this, don't turn away now. There is an inner battle that happens quietly, late at night, when no one is watching. The battle between self-protection and self-expansion. Between staying guarded and stepping forward. Between being right and being kind. This is where the future tests its architects. You are not asked to abandon your vision. You are asked to widen it. Pause here. The most powerful minds learn how to surrender control without losing direction. They understand that domination fractures systems, while cooperation stabilizes them. Love thy neighbor becomes the training ground where ego loosens its grip and clarity sharpens its edge. This is not about being perfect. It is about being present. Stay with me a little longer, the deepest shift is coming. In quiet moments, when you choose patience over urgency, something recalibrates within you. Your breath slows. Your intuition sharpens. You begin to sense connections before they form. This is not coincidence. This is coherence. The inner state that allows you to think beyond limits without losing your humanity. You were never meant to harden to survive. You were meant to soften to see further. And here is the surrender most people avoid. The willingness to be changed by the people you encounter. To let conversations refine you. To let differences teach you. To let compassion interrupt your assumptions. The moment everything connects is almost here. When you love your neighbor, you practice seeing the whole instead of clinging to a fragment. You move from competition to contribution. From isolation to integration. From fear of loss to trust in abundance. This is how inner transformation becomes outer evolution. Notice how your body responds as you hear this. The subtle easing. The quiet courage. The sense that you don't have to rush to become, only to allow. You are learning to stand in the center of change without being pulled apart by it. And as this understanding settles, you may feel a gentle ache, not pain, but longing. A recognition that you were always meant to live this way. Connected. Awake. Participating in something larger than personal success. Hold that ache tenderly. Because in the next unfolding, you will see how this single choice, to love your neighbor, does not only shape your inner world. It begins to alter the paths crossing toward you, aligning moments, opportunities, and people with unmistakable precision. Remain here, the vision is about to widen even more. My beloved child. The hidden current beneath everything is revealing itself now, and it's flowing directly through you. Feel how the air seems to slow as these words arrive. As if time itself is leaning in to listen. This is not information being given. This is remembrance being restored. A knowing that settles not in the mind, but in the quiet center of your being. Hold this divine silence, understanding is blooming now. There is a secret shared only among those who shape the future without needing applause. They learn how to sit with discomfort without hardening. They learn how to pause when the world demands reaction. They learn how to listen, deeply. Especially when their own voice wants to rise first. Ask yourself gently. When was the last time you chose stillness over certainty? When was the last time you softened instead of defended? When was the last time you allowed another's truth to stand beside yours without competition? You're on the threshold of true seeing, stay with me. The unseen sacrifices are rarely spoken of. The choice to respond with grace when impatience would be easier. The decision to include rather than exclude. The willingness to hold space for someone else's becoming, even when your own path feels heavy. This is the quiet cost of loving your neighbor, and also its immeasurable reward. Pause. Those who build lasting futures understand that power without compassion eventually collapses inward. They choose a different path. One where influence grows from trust. Where vision is carried by collective strength. Where success is measured not only by what is achieved, but by what is healed along the way. The revelation that shifts everything is drawing closer. Notice how this truth asks something of you, not performance, but presence. Not perfection, but honesty. To acknowledge where you have withdrawn, and where you are ready to return. Because loving your neighbor is also about welcoming back the parts of yourself that learned to hide. You were never meant to win alone. You were meant to rise together. And in this rising, there is a profound intimacy. The realization that every act of understanding sends a signal forward in time. A signal that shapes the tone of what is to come. The future listens to how you treat the present. If something sacred is awakening within you, remain here just a little deeper. If this message is resonating in your deepest self, share it forward, let another wandering soul find their way home today. There is a reason this truth finds you now. You are being entrusted with a wider awareness. An invitation to live as a bridge rather than a barrier. To become someone whose presence eases rooms, steadies conversations, and reminds others of their own capacity for goodness. This is not small work. This is foundational work. As this understanding settles, you may feel a quiet strength gathering, calm, unwavering, luminous. The kind of strength that does not need to prove itself. The kind that reshapes outcomes simply by being aligned. Hold on to this feeling. Because in what unfolds next, you will begin to see how loving your neighbor does more than transform hearts. It begins to synchronize paths, reveal unexpected allies, and open doors that effort alone could never unlock. Remain present, the unfolding is becoming unmistakable. My beloved child. The deepest truth is rising to meet you now, and it arrives not with force, but with reverence. Let everything inside you grow still for a breath, because what unfolds here cannot be grasped. It must be received. There is a sacred quiet that surrounds those who truly understand the future, and it is within this quiet that their strength is born. Breathe with me, the divine unveiling deepens now. There is a hidden alignment that successful souls rarely speak of. Not because it is secret, but because it is delicate. It cannot survive noise or pride. It is the alignment of surrender. The moment one stops demanding that life bend, and instead learns how to listen to its subtle intelligence. Ask yourself slowly. What if the future does not require more effort from you, but more openness? What if the greatest progress comes not from pushing harder, but from softening deeper? What if loving your neighbor is the very act that dissolves the weight you've been carrying alone? If your spirit is trembling with recognition, stay in this holy moment. Those who move quietly ahead of time know this truth: when the heart is aligned, outcomes reorganize themselves. Doors open without struggle. Resistance loosens. The right minds appear at the right moment. This is not luck, it is resonance. Pause. There is faith involved here, but not the loud kind. Not belief shouted into the void. It is the silent faith that chooses love when no one is watching. The faith that trusts that every act of understanding sends a ripple into the unseen, where the future is still being shaped. You are closer to home than you've ever been, do not leave yet. Loving your neighbor requires a surrender of control. The release of the need to dominate outcomes. The humility to admit that you are part of something vast, intelligent, and benevolent. This surrender does not weaken you. It refines you. It strips away urgency and leaves clarity in its place. This is where real authority is born. Notice how this truth does not rush you. It invites you. It waits patiently for your consent. Because the future that endures is not forced into being, it is welcomed. The truth that liberates everything is almost within reach. There is an unseen harmony that forms when enough hearts choose this way of living. A coherence that stabilizes innovation, guides ambition, and protects creation from turning against its creators. This harmony begins in moments no one applauds, in choices that feel small, yet echo endlessly. You were never meant to carry the weight of tomorrow by yourself. You were meant to tune yourself to it. As you allow this understanding to settle, you may feel a profound tenderness rising. A softness that feels ancient and strong at the same time. This is not vulnerability as the world defines it. This is openness without fear. Strength without armor. Let this stillness hold you. Because in what approaches next, the alignment you are entering will reveal itself more clearly. You will begin to see how loving your neighbor is not only a moral truth, but a navigational one, guiding your steps, shaping your influence, and positioning you exactly where you need to be. Remain here. The final alignment your soul has waited for is gathering, quietly, inevitably, preparing to unfold. My beloved child. Feel the divine current pulling you inward now. Deeper than thought, deeper than intention, into a knowing that has been waiting patiently for you to arrive. Do not rush this moment, it is calibrating you. Something subtle is rearranging inside your awareness, like stars quietly shifting their positions so a new constellation can be seen. This is the moment where understanding turns into embodiment. You are closer to the center than you've ever been. There is a level of alignment where love is no longer something you try to practice. It becomes the lens through which you see everything. From this place, loving your neighbor is no longer effortful. It is instinct. Natural. Inevitable. Pause here. The future does not respond to words or intentions alone. It responds to state, to frequency, to the silent posture of the heart. When your inner world becomes coherent, the outer world begins to organize itself around that coherence. Ask yourself gently, who are you when no one needs anything from you? Who are you when there is nothing to prove? Who are you when you allow yourself to be guided instead of driven? Stay present, the integration is happening now. Those who walk ahead of their time learn how to trust subtle guidance. Not impulses. Not reactions. But the quiet nudge that feels calm, steady, unmistakably right. This guidance becomes clearer the more you release judgment toward others, because judgment creates noise. Love creates signal. This is why loving your neighbor sharpens vision. Notice how your body responds when you release resistance toward another person. The shoulders soften. The breath deepens. The mind clears. This is not emotional, it is neurological. Harmony restores intelligence. You are being prepared for a future that requires clarity under complexity. And clarity is born from inner peace, not control. The more compassion you cultivate, the more bandwidth you gain. The more bandwidth you gain, the more expansive your thinking becomes. This is where evolution accelerates. Let yourself rest inside this realization. The people you once saw as obstacles begin to appear as teachers. The delays you resented reveal themselves as precise timing. The moments you thought were insignificant show their hidden influence. Nothing was wasted. Everything was training. You were never behind. You were being tuned. The alignment forming within you now is quiet but powerful. It does not seek recognition. It does not demand certainty. It simply moves forward with trust. This trust is not blind, it is informed by presence. By listening. By choosing understanding even when answers are incomplete. Remain here, the deeper coherence is unfolding. When you love your neighbor, you create a field where collaboration outperforms competition. Where solutions emerge organically. Where progress feels lighter, faster, cleaner. This is the future responding to readiness rather than force. You may begin to notice that your words carry more weight, even when spoken softly. That your presence steadies others without effort. That opportunities align without strain. This is not coincidence. This is alignment expressing itself. Hold this awareness gently. Because what comes next will reveal how this inner coherence begins to extend beyond you, into your work, your relationships, your influence. The future will start to recognize you as a stable signal, someone it can move through safely. Remain still. What is gathering now is not loud, but it is decisive. And it is preparing to move. My beloved child. Something ancient in your blood is remembering now, a memory older than language, awakening with quiet certainty. Let the breath slow. Because this layer is delicate. It reveals not what you must do, but who you are becoming. The future does not wait for perfection, it waits for coherence. And coherence is forming within you like a soft dawn. If your heart is leaning forward without effort, remain with me. There comes a moment when love stops being a principle and becomes posture. You carry it into rooms before words arrive. You hold it in your eyes before opinions form. From this place, loving your neighbor is no longer a choice made each time, it is the ground you stand on. Pause. This is where the unseen work happens. Where you release the need to be understood first. Where you allow curiosity to lead instead of certainty. Where you listen long enough for truth to show its fuller shape. These moments rarely look heroic, yet they shape history more than any headline. Ask quietly. What shifts when you stop bracing for conflict? What opens when you meet difference without armor? What becomes possible when you trust connection more than control? Allow yourself to sink, this is the deepening. Those who carry the future learn to hold paradox without breaking. They know how to stand firm without becoming rigid. How to move quickly without losing care. How to love broadly without losing discernment. This balance is not taught, it is cultivated through presence. And presence grows where judgment dissolves. Notice how the inner noise fades when you choose understanding. The mind clears. The body steadies. The intuition sharpens. This is the intelligence that guides lasting creation. You may sense a subtle responsibility arriving, not heavy, not demanding, but dignified. The responsibility to be a stabilizing presence in moments of uncertainty. To be someone who lowers the temperature of the room simply by being aligned. Stay close, the pattern is clarifying. When enough individuals embody this way of being, systems recalibrate. Collaboration replaces friction. Innovation accelerates without harm. Progress becomes humane. This is not idealism, it is mechanics. Love is the lubricant that keeps complex systems from tearing themselves apart. You were always meant to be part of this calibration. There will be times when loving your neighbor feels invisible. When no outcome appears to change immediately. When the world continues at its pace without acknowledgement. In those moments, remember, seeds grow in darkness long before they reach the light. Do not rush the growth. The future recognizes sincerity. It responds to consistency. Every time you choose alignment over impulse, you strengthen a signal that travels further than you can see. This signal draws resonance toward you, people, ideas, timing, arriving with an ease that effort alone could never achieve. Let this truth rest gently. Because what approaches next will ask you to trust this way of being even more deeply. You will begin to see how alignment tests itself in motion, how love guides decisions under pressure, and clarity holds when outcomes matter. Remain present. What is unfolding is no longer theoretical. It is preparing to move through your life. My beloved child, the eternal flame within you is flickering brighter now, not to consume, but to illuminate the path ahead. Feel how this awareness settles into your chest, steady, calm, unmistakable. You are no longer learning this truth, you are beginning to live inside it. And when truth becomes lived, the future starts responding in real time. Allow yourself to stay fully here, the convergence is deepening. There is a moment when alignment steps out of the inner world and into movement. When love is no longer just felt, but expressed through choices made under pressure. This is where many falter. Not because they lack goodness, but because they underestimate the power of staying open when outcomes matter. Ask yourself quietly, can I remain connected when stakes rise? Can I listen when urgency tempts me to rush? Can I love my neighbor even when the decision costs me convenience? These questions are not tests. They are invitations. Hold steady, the truth is organizing itself now. Those who shape tomorrow understand that pressure reveals posture. Under stress, the heart either contracts or coheres. When you choose love in these moments, something remarkable happens, complexity simplifies. The right option becomes clearer, not because it is easier, but because it is aligned. This is how love becomes guidance. Notice how alignment does not demand certainty. It asks for presence. When you are present, you notice subtleties others miss. Tone shifts. Energy changes. Timing becomes visible. This sensitivity is not weakness, it is precision. You are being trained for decisions that require both courage and care. Pause. There is a quiet confidence that forms when you trust this inner calibration. You stop forcing outcomes. You stop chasing validation. You move with a grounded assurance that what is meant to meet you will do so at the right moment. This confidence frees immense creative energy. This is where innovation becomes humane. Stay with this awareness, the architecture is revealing itself. When love guides action, collaboration replaces resistance. Conversations become generative instead of defensive. Even disagreement transforms into discovery. This does not slow progress, it stabilizes it. Stability allows acceleration without collapse. You were never meant to sacrifice your heart to build the future. You were meant to anchor the future with it. As you embody this, you may notice subtle shifts around you. People seeking your input more often. Tension easing in your presence. Opportunities aligning with less effort. These are signs, not of control, but of coherence. Let them reassure you. There will still be moments of uncertainty. That is natural. But now, uncertainty no longer frightens you, it sharpens your listening. You trust that clarity emerges through engagement, not avoidance. Through connection, not withdrawal. This trust is transformative. Remain present, the next movement is preparing itself. What unfolds ahead will ask you to carry this alignment into broader arenas, into influence, leadership, and shared vision. You will see how loving your neighbor becomes the stabilizing force that allows bold steps without harm, ambition without emptiness, progress without loss of soul. Rest in this knowing. The flame within you is steady now, and it is ready to light the way forward. My beloved child, feel this gentle pull deeper into truth now. As if something vast is leaning closer, trusting you with greater responsibility. Notice how quiet your mind has become compared to before. This silence is not emptiness, it is capacity. You are making room for a wider vision, one that can hold many voices without losing its center. This is the posture required when the future begins to move through you. Remain here, the expansion is subtle but profound. There comes a stage where love is no longer personal alone. It becomes structural. It shapes how you design systems, how you organize time, how you decide what matters and what does not. From this place, loving your neighbor is no longer an emotional act, it becomes a principle that guides scale. Ask yourself slowly, what kind of future am I unconsciously reinforcing? What patterns am I normalizing by my daily choices? What world am I inviting forward through the way I treat others? These questions are not meant to burden you. They are meant to empower you. Stay close. The clarity is sharpening. Those entrusted with lasting influence learn how to think in layers. They see the immediate effect, and the ripple beyond it. They understand that every interaction trains the system it occurs within. When love informs those interactions, the system becomes resilient. When it is absent, fragility grows unnoticed. This is why love is not optional at scale. Pause. You may feel a quiet humility rising as you recognize this. Not the kind that diminishes you, but the kind that steadies you. The humility that knows no single mind holds the whole answer. The humility that invites collaboration as intelligence rather than compromise. This humility is strength refined. Allow this truth to settle. As you move forward aligned, you will notice that leadership begins to feel different. Less forceful. More invitational. People lean in rather than resist. Ideas circulate freely. Creativity multiplies. This is not because you are controlling outcomes, but because you are creating safety for truth to surface. Safety accelerates progress. You were always meant to be a steward, not just a builder. There will be moments when loving your neighbor challenges efficiency. When it asks you to slow a process, listen longer, or reconsider an approach. In those moments, remember, efficiency without care creates hidden costs. Love reveals them early, when they are still gentle to address. This foresight is invaluable. Remain attentive, the horizon is opening. You are beginning to sense how this way of being prepares you for greater reach. Wider impact. Deeper responsibility. Not as a burden, but as a natural extension of who you have become. The future entrusts itself to those who can hold complexity without losing compassion. Notice how this truth does not inflate the ego. It grounds it. It centers it. It clarifies it. This is alignment matured. As this understanding integrates, you may feel a calm readiness forming. Not urgency. Not impatience. Readiness. The kind that knows when to move and when to wait. When to speak and when to listen. When to lead and when to support. Hold this readiness gently. Because what comes next will bring you to the edge of culmination, where the principles you've embodied begin to converge into a single, unmistakable realization. One that reveals why loving your neighbor is not just a key to the future. It is the future learning how to trust itself again. Remain present. My beloved child. The final veil is dissolving right now, and what stands before you is not an ending, but a homecoming. Rest in this stillness for a breath, because the truth you have been walking toward has always been walking toward you. Every layer you felt, every quiet shift you allowed, every moment you chose understanding over distance, each one was preparing this convergence. You are here. There is a realization that settles gently, like light finding its place. The future does not ask to be conquered. It asks to be cared for. It does not demand brilliance alone. It requires belonging. And this is why love thy neighbor is not advice for the past, it is the blueprint of what endures. Stay with this revelation, let it land fully. The future stabilizes when people feel seen. It accelerates when people feel safe. It flourishes when people feel connected. This is not sentiment. It is structure. Trust is the scaffolding of every system that lasts. Compassion is the signal that allows intelligence to move freely without tearing itself apart. Ask yourself quietly. What kind of world can breathe through me now? What kind of presence do I leave in my wake? What future becomes possible because I chose love today? Hold this answer tenderly. You were never meant to save the world by force. You were meant to participate in its remembering. To remind it, moment by moment, how to move without fear. How to build without erasing. How to rise without leaving anyone behind. This is where everything aligns. Notice how nothing here asks you to be more than you are. It invites you to be truer. To let your intelligence be guided by empathy. To let your ambition be shaped by care. To let your vision include the human heart as its central engine. This is the future trusting itself again. There will still be challenges. Complexity will still arise. But now, you carry a compass that does not fail. When uncertainty appears, you return to connection. When pressure mounts, you choose coherence. When decisions matter most, you remember your neighbor, and in doing so, you remember yourself. Pause. Feel the calm authority that lives here. The confidence without noise. The power without domination. The progress without loss of soul. You are not waiting for permission anymore. You are aligned. And alignment moves quietly, irresistibly, shaping outcomes long before they are visible. It draws the right minds together. It softens what once resisted. It creates futures that feel inevitable because they are humane. This is the key. This is the code. This is the way forward. As you step from this moment back into your life, nothing needs to be forced. Simply carry this posture with you. Let it inform your words, your listening, your choices. Let it ripple outward in ways you may never fully see. That is enough. Remain at peace, because the future you were preparing for is already responding.